It's Thursday night. We might as well just call it Friday night and do an upload. I have my Victoria's Secret juicy melon. I meant to bring you caramel, but I left it at the gym, so I don't have that, but I'll try that for another day. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I would like to thank you so much for joining me this Thursday evening. It's about 8:30, probably about 9 o'clock time this gets uploaded. How do I get my girlfriend's son to move out? We live in her house. Now, before I even play this, are you reading in the title what I'm reading? How do I get my girlfriend's son to move out? We live in her house. It sounds like the caller lives in her house too, but wants her son out. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's go ahead, take this on down. Whee. All right, folks, let's do it.
Jason's in Reading, Pennsylvania. Hi, Jason. Welcome.
Hi,
to Ramsey
Jason.
Hey, Dave, how you guys doing?
Show. Better than we deserve. What's up?
Well, I got a little dilemma here, and I'm trying to get it figured out. I live with my girlfriend. It's her and I at the house, and her son lives there too. And then he decided to ask if we were okay with if his girlfriend got kicked out of her house, at her mom's house. So she moved in with us, and I agreed on like 2 or 3 months, and I figured that was okay. They both, between the two of them, they make like well over $200,000 a year.
Wow.
So I really don't see why they just won't just take that step, And my girlfriend is basically on their side, and every time I was trying to say something, it's like I get like the backlash, and I'm like, oh, so I just don't know what to do.
Well, it sounds like just the other night, Dave called one of the last night's call. He referred to, or maybe it was the night before, one of these week's calls. He referred to one of the callers as a squatter. Basically, in this case, that was the girlfriend who moved in hypothetically with the boyfriend. Well, we could take that same situation, okay, and apply it to this and say, well, buddy, meaning the caller, what's this guy's name? What's his name? Jason. We could say, well, Jason, you're the squatter. You're living in your girlfriend's house. All right. You're living in your girlfriend's house, and you're trying, from what we can tell early in the call, early in our bedtime story, it appears he's good enough to squat in her house. I'm only doing this because Dave said it the other night. He's good enough to squat in her house, but he doesn't want his girlfriend's son and the son's girlfriend squatting in the house. Ooh. When one squatter calls out another squatter.
They need to have that kick in the butt to get moving, but I don't know how to get her on board with me, and it's so frustrating.
Well, Jason in Reading, PA, you don't own the house that they're living in. You're a squatter. I would like to thank Dave for that. I'm sure he'll never see this, but that's all right. Okay. Jason, you're the squatter. You're squatting in your girlfriend's house. That is her son. You, most likely, at least unless she chooses to marry you, I don't presume that you are going to be more important than her son is. So if she, as the owner of the house, the deed, the mortgage, and everything else, wants to have her son live there, guess what? He can live there. And sometimes it's not about how much money you make. It's not always about that.
So frustrating.
Yes, being a squatter is frustrating. Okay, guys, I'm just kidding about he's a squatter. I mean, well, technically kind of is.
Who owns your house? Who owns the house?
The girlfriend.
Actually, we're renting the house. Okay. We are renting the home.
Who's on the lease?
It's just her.
Bingo! All right, well, that's the end of tonight's bedtime story. I think we can call this a wrap. Why is he not on the lease? Why is he not on the lease? Perhaps his credit isn't as good? Perhaps his job isn't as established? Perhaps he doesn't make as much money? You see, ye who is on the lease, all right, they carry more weight. This is why the day that I should remarry, I will make sure my spouse is put on the deed. Okay? I'm not going to marry someone and then claim this place is mine. That's just stupid. Okay? They will be put on here. We will be equal partners. We will make those decisions together. But in this case, he's not married to her. She is the one on the lease, right? And how come she's the only one on the lease? We can only guess.
It's just my girlfriend, actually.
Okay. So it's her. It's actually her house.
Yeah, it's basically her house.
No. It's not basically her house. It is her house. Now I am more convinced than ever that he's just squatting there.
With her when we got together a couple
So
years
she's
ago.
allowing you to live there.
Well, basically, I guess.
No. There is no basically, I guess. Nope. If there is responsibility to the property, Jason, can walk away. Jason can completely walk away. He has no legal responsibility whatsoever to the lease. She, the caller, cannot, the girlfriend, she cannot just walk away. See, Jason doesn't have the right to be able to say, I have full, I am just as, I am just, my opinion on this residence and who lives here is just as equal to hers, even though I don't carry any of the legal responsibility on it. Okay? That's dumb, in my opinion. Okay? Jason's trying to come across as though they are in his and hers equal space. It is not equal until he takes on the same legal responsibilities, okay, as she does. He can't just come in and claim that he has full rights to the place, but none of the responsibility. Oh, heck no, he cannot do that.
Well, legally speaking, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Snaps for me.
Well, she asked me to move. She did ask me
I
to
know,
move
but
there.
she's allowed. I didn't say you were there.
I could ask someone to move into my place. It doesn't mean they own it, right? Doesn't mean they own it. Somebody can invite me to move into their place. Doesn't mean I own it.
Against her will, but she's allowing it. She's the lease person on the lease. She's in charge.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And so,
I just love they go yep. That people who do that yep. I always say it's because they know they're wrong and they just want to build a bridge over that error as quickly as possible.
how long have you been there?
2 years now.
Okay. And how old is her son?
26. And his girlfriend is 28.
And he was there before you got there.
Yeah. He said he was going to be leaving a year after he graduated from his schooling and got his job. Well, it's been over a year now, and it's just there's no exit plan at all. I'm like, well, what do we do here?
Well, what do? You either go and get your own place, all right, or you marry the woman, okay, and before you perhaps marry, maybe have a discussion on, are they going to be living with you guys for forever? I'll tell you what is not an option is to think that you have all the rights to have a say as to what's happening. And again, this is just my opinion. It's how I feel about it. Okay. He doesn't have the right to say what's going to happen to the girlfriend's son and his, and the son's girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? But yet not carry any of the legal weight. So if he really wants to carry on the legal weight, here's what he needs to do. He needs to say, honey, you're the only one right now on the lease. I need to sign on there as well. And get signed on there as well. And perhaps before you sign on there as well, have a discussion and find out what your girlfriend's plans are. You may find out that she enjoys having the kids at home. And that the kids are going to be there permanently. Before you know it, you're going to have 30, 35-year-olds living at home. Okay, not right, not wrong. It's just it's whatever they decide to do as a family. He is the visitor to the family. He doesn't like to see himself as that way, but he is the visitor. Without a ring on the finger, all right, he is a visitor. And I don't imagine he's going to be able to come between what the mother wants for her son. And he may look at it and go, you know what? He's too much of a mama's boy. All right. I feel like she and I are not on the same page of where we think, our lives want to go. And he may find that he needs to move out. Or he needs to move out and still date her. Whatever. But like I said, he can't claim that he has full rights to say what's happening without any of the legal responsibility.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess
The only
other
way
backstory-
I know how to answer questions on this show is to tell you what I would do if I woke up in your shoes, but I wouldn't wake up in your shoes. So, because
There are plenty of people. Okay, and this may be a little bit sexist, right? So just let's put the PC and all that stuff aside. Okay, here's the thing: there are plenty of people who are very. There are plenty of women who are very turned off by a man who moves in with his girlfriend and basically lives under her roof. I personally don't care. I don't care if I move in with him or if he moves in with me. It makes no difference to me. What I care about is our long-term plan the same? Because I wouldn't want someone just moving in with me just to shack up and move with me. But if somebody's moving in with me because we're going to get married, we're going, in other words, we are going to join as one, that's a total different thing. Then you move to, I always say, whatever the smartest move is. Might be smarter for you to move in with me or me to move in with you. Whatever the smart move is. But just to have a guy move in, set up shop and say, well, I'm here, but there's no plan for marriage. If he plans to marry the woman, have they had that discussion? Have they found out if they're really on the same page? And he can actually take this as a great opportunity to see how she interacts with her son. This is it's what they call in education, a teachable moment. Okay. He can take this opportunity to really ask himself, is this the type of family dynamic I want to go into? A woman who will let her son just move at home, anytime he wants, regardless whether he's got the ability to move out. And I could be living with a 30, 40-year-old child at home. It happens. Okay. And there's some people, it's great. It all depends upon the individual person.
I wouldn't have made these decisions. So I think I've just got to backtrack and go, okay, I think what we've got to decide here, I don't think you're going to get between this lady and her son when you are the boyfriend that is not on the lease.
I would like to give myself some complimentary snaps for multiple of those points that I made.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not exactly in a position of power relationally or legally.
You're the squatter, as Dave Ramsey put it in a couple videos I did the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think maybe you've got to decide if this is a permanent relationship or not.
Every now and then I am really sharp and on the ball. Tonight I am sharp and I'm on the ball.
Oh, I was more than. I mean, that's what the plan was. Especially.
Okay, then if we're going to get married, then it's a different set of rules.
Oh, yeah, that was already in the plan.
Well, no.
Absolutely.
I mean,
It clearly was not in the plans. If nothing is being done to move it forward.
I think that's part of the discussion here. It's like, honey, we're going to set a date. And, now if we're going to set a date, now we've got to go into pre-marriage counseling. And part of pre-marriage counseling is how we deal with extended family, which is grown kids, parents, in-laws, cousins that are crazy, whatever.
Yeah.
My late mother made it very clear that you weren't coming home to live. Okay? Basically, once you hit... She didn't kick us out at 18, per se. She wasn't ruthless like that, because I did move back in, once when I broke up with a boyfriend, and then another time after I graduated from college. So she was nowhere near like that. But she made it very clear that, you were expected to figure out how to live on your own. You were not just to, plan, well, I'll just come home and sack out there for forever. That wasn't going to happen. But both of sides of my parents, 'cause my parents got divorced and remarried. Both sides of my parents, they have high expectations. They're not going to have 30-year-old children living at home. I agree with that. Unless there's some, special circumstance, extenuating circumstance, as to why they need to be there.
And if you don't have a plan as a couple to stay unified while you deal with extended family, in other words, she believes you deeply love her son and want what's best for him, and she does too, and we're going to treat them as 26-year-old adults that make $200,000 a year, then you can do that as a husband and wife, and you need to be unified on that before you become husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's also going to change the status of the lease as well.
Again, I would like to give myself some snaps for that. the lease comment. Yeah. For him to really have a say, he's got to get himself on equal footing to where she is.
Because now we're both going to be husband and wife on the house that we rent as a couple. Now he's just trespassing once you make that change.
Uh-huh.
But right now you may be trespassing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I guess
You're both there with her with her agreement, but she's in charge of this right now.
Yeah.
You don't have much. You don't have much of a ground to argue from right now. So, I think you're going to have to, turn up the heat on progressing this relationship and causing it to become a marriage, and as a part of that, deal with this situation, because I don't think there's a chance in the current scenario that you're going to get between her and her baby boy.
And like I said, he may find that she coddles her son too much, and he's like, I don't want a woman who's going to be a mama's boy. I don't find that attractive. I personally don't find mama boys to be attractive either. There's just something that, beyond a certain age, much beyond your, maybe through college, maybe after that, decide to put on your big kid pants, I'm not attracted to a mama's boy. Doesn't mean you don't care about your mother, but it's the mama's boy who just has no ability or drive. Sometimes I often think it's drive, okay, to move out, establish their own place, become an adult.
Well, yeah, I'm not trying to get between.
Yes, you are trying to get between them. You're trying to insert what you think should happen. And there's nothing wrong with that, per se. You just have to understand your place in the hierarchy.
Yeah, you are.
I just keep getting different stories.
I would be. If I were you, I'd be trying to get between her, because he needs to get his butt out of there and be a man.
Yeah, well, I do agree with you.
And the caller needs to be a man and get his name on the lease. And here's the other thing. If she should decide she does not want to put him on the lease, he goes, hey, honey, you do the whole thing about, I'd like to, share in the responsibility of the house with you. I'll take all the legal responsibility, all of that stuff. Let's say you and I go on the lease together. And she says no. Okay. And I think, as he said, he moved into her place because she had it already. But, have they walked down to the leasing office to see if both of them could be put on there? And if she says no to even attempting to put him on there, that is a sign, a red flag. Just thinking about that. All right. Because if I really want to be with you and you come to me and say, hey, you know what? I'd like to take legal responsibility of this place with you. I'd be like, okay. And what's our plan? Are we going to get married or what? Yep, I think we should get married in the next year. Okay, got that too. And if she says, no, I don't want you on the lease. There's something to think about.
Yeah, but you're not in a position to cause this to happen. Because right now, you're just a trespasser.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Squatter?
Yeah, I understand it from that aspect. Yeah, it's just I keep hearing different stories. When they're saving for a house, they spent.
I don't think you're going to change the narrative here, because you don't have any influence. He has way more influence with her right now than you do.
And this is why a lot of, I think, is it red pill men? Okay, the men going their MGTOW, men going their own way. I'm not really into all that stuff. I mean, I get certain points of it. Yeah, I can, empathize, sympathize, whatnot. I'm not like deeply into it. Okay. But for people who, are kind of into I think it's called the red pill guys, they would say, this is why men don't move in with the girls, because especially if the girl has a child, not so much seems to be as big of a deal if the girl doesn't have children. But although that probably applies too, but when the girlfriend has children involved, a lot of I think it's red pill men. A lot of red pill men will say, see, this is why we don't ever move in with a girl with children. Okay.
Yeah, it does seem that way. That's my problem.
Yeah, that's a relationship problem. Yeah. And some of that is based on the fact that you moved into her house and you are not married.
Bingo. That's exactly it.
And so it changes the dynamic of the relationship. It's just the reality of the process. It changes the legality of it, but it also changes the dynamic of how the relationship functions, because relationships are about, or one, not about, but one of the things relationships are about is power, and who has it and who's going to hand it over and back and forth. So,
And it's stupid. It's stupid because that's really not what it should be about, which is why on my end, anybody moves in here with me, it's because we're getting married. That's the only reason anybody needs to live here with me. I don't need a roommate. Okay. If I'm gonna have a roommate, I'll just set up the second room and, collect rent. But no, anybody who lives with me, so that he knows, yes, this was my place, but it is now going to be our place. And if I cannot share my place with someone under that marriage bracket, then I shouldn't be in a relationship with them to begin with. Okay. I'm not one of those women. This is just me. Okay. I know there's some women, and I have a friend who has absolutely no interest whatsoever in ever getting married, and that's fine. It's like, whatever. Okay. To each their own. Really, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't change or affect my life, and vice versa. But, she's very much, this is her place and she wants to keep it that way. On the other hand, I'm much more flexible. I'm like, this is my place. Yes. It's paid off and I am happy to share it, with someone that I love. Okay. But, if anybody's going to move in with me, it is because we're getting married. And it is because this is no longer my place, it is our place. And to make it feel for him like it is his place also, yeah, I would absolutely put his name on the deed. He would have legal access, responsibility, the whole 9 yards to it. Granted, you don't have to worry about paying it off. That just comes as a perk. I'm not possessive, I guess one might say. I'm not possessive with my stuff like that. I know some people who are. This is mine. Nobody's going to have it. That's cool. And I get it. I really do. Okay. I understand. It's just not how I operate.
In a good, healthy marriage, there's a give and take of power. We laugh and say, my wife wants to get her nails done. I don't understand, but she goes and gets it done. But that's a giving up of power. There's a different, and so I choose to serve my wife, but that's a handing of power. She chooses to make me dinner. That's a handing of power. She's serving.
I make bundt cakes, and my man will have a bundt cake every single weekend, probably for the rest of his life. I make bundt cakes. That's what I like. I don't do it and think that would be belittling in any way, shape, or form. I make them because I enjoy making them, and if it puts a smile on his face, I will absolutely do it. That's just me. So if he goes, honey, could you please make me a cherry cheesecake bundt cake this weekend? No problem.
We all are giving, these are power transfers, and you're in a powerless position.
For those who don't know, I have a small cake business. That's where the bundt cake comment came from. So in case you're new, okay, I make bundt cakes. I just absolutely love doing it. And yes, I cook main courses too.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I think, especially approaching it from a marriage perspective and just a relational perspective, I have a lot of questions with the relationship with the son and kind of the resistance to that. But I think you're right to first kind of deal with it directly with the girlfriend and kind of work on that relationship first, because that narrative between her and him, seems to go pretty deep.
And here's the thing. I'm willing to bet you the son is totally aware that he has more pull over his mother than the boyfriend does. The son, if the son and his girlfriend are making $200,000 a year, approximately, okay, they're not dumb. They're not without logic. They're not without analytical skills, resourcefulness, and all of that. So don't think for a minute that the son isn't aware, I'm willing to bet, of how the boyfriend feels about their presence. And, oh, hold on. That's the timer telling me my quiche is almost done. Don't think that the son isn't aware of that. Now, it would have to be a pretty cruel son to be fully aware and, be rubbing his little mitts together going, cackling like a witch, just being thrilled that there's, misery for the boyfriend. Okay. But we're going to think more positively positively than that. Think, okay, the son may be where the boyfriend doesn't want him there, but for whatever reason, because the son and his mom perhaps have a very good relationship, but the mother may even really enjoy the girlfriend's company. All right. They to a certain sense don't care. But like Dave was saying earlier, I agree. This really isn't a problem between the son and the boyfriend. Okay. It's really more of an issue between Jason, the caller, between the boyfriend and his girlfriend. Because how this is handled is going to determine, in my opinion, really whether or not they should get married. Okay. And if the boyfriend goes, I've tried to talk with her, give her my, I've suggested to her that I get put on the lease. She balks at the idea of putting me on the lease. She balks at the idea of the son, hey, let's sit down, have a little discussion on when the move out date is. In other words, the girlfriend turns her back every chance she get on the boyfriend. I would tell the boyfriend I would probably consider ending the relationship. Okay. I think he might be spinning his wheels. Just my thought.
Yeah. I mean, there's, we're perpetuating stupid ideas here.
All right, folks, my quiche is done. And I don't want it to burn. By the way, I also make quiche from scratch, including the crust. Yes. Yep. My man shall not go hungry. All right. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I would like to thank you so much for joining me for this Thursday night's bedtime story. I hope you will consider subscribing. You guys, you have yourself an absolutely wonderful Thursday. I may or may not be here. Fridays is kind of iffy. All right. But if I don't see you Friday, absolutely for sure, I will see you on Saturday. Bye.